Welcome back to Saucy Fix's channel. Thanks for joining us today. A channel designed for the modern family to fix things around the house, especially in this economy. Today we have an episode on upgrading your DualSense joysticks on your PS4 controller or your DualShock 4 controller. What a lot of people find over time is that the original joysticks that come with your controller wear out, and you'll get stick drift, and essentially you'll not be using the joysticks, no input, and it'll start moving. Now, being a gamer myself, I've gone through countless controllers. Every time I get stick drift, I would just go out and buy a new one until I got fed up, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and fix these sticks, upgrade them, and see how it goes. Now, this controller specifically doesn't actually have any stick drift. I did it on my other controller already, and I mean, the joysticks actually work better than the factory joysticks that came with the controller worked. So that was surprising and a really good thing for me. So I thought I would share my knowledge on how to fix these with you all. So stick along and we'll go through it. Okay, everyone, we are now at the disassembly portion of this controller. Again, this is a DualShock 4 controller, a Sony PlayStation 4 controller. All of the equipment and the tools that I'm using in this video, I will link in the description, so you'll be able to take a look at Amazon or whichever merchant sells them, and you'll be able to purchase your own or something equivalent. I will say this in advance, that to do this properly and quickly, you do need some tools, some investment in soldering station and circuit board holders and soldering wick, soldering actual solder are all necessary for this kind of repair or this upgrade to go smoothly. However, there are things that I will mention in this video that you may not necessarily need to get this done one time. Okay, so let's jump into it. So this controller has 4 star head screws, one here, 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 and here. We'll just take those out. Okay, with those screws out, you should be able to, you'll see there's a seam here, you should be able to just hold the bottom half and push the top half, and it should just pop apart relatively easy. Now be careful, there is a ribbon cable attaching the back half of the controller to the front half. All you got to do is quickly pull that out of the connector there, and it pops out like that. You can set this back half aside. Now you are left with the battery and the printed circuit board, as well as the rumble sticks here. Battery should just come out of the holder, and then it'll be held in by a connector right there. Just pull that connector out. Put that battery aside. One Phillips screw or star head screw holding in the plastic bracket and the circuit board. Now this is an optional part for this fix. However, I would strongly suggest you do it, is to remove the actual rumble sticks here. Okay. Now, one thing that I did when I first started taking this apart is I took a picture to see which way the rumble sticks are, or the rumble pads are connected to the PCB. And so on the left side, you'll have positive up at the top there and negative on the bottom. And on the right side, you'll have positive on the bottom and negative at the top. Now, like I said, I do take this out because it makes the job much easier. Oh, and sorry, one more thing here is that there is a ribbon cable right there that you need to disconnect. This one doesn't have any kind of retaining clip, so I'm just gonna pull it off. I'm gonna grab my bent nose tweezers, pull that out. There we go. And then this will come off. This little plastic bracket is just held in by these two clips here and here. And then we will desolder the PCB. Okay, so now that we are going to be doing some desoldering, I'm going to do the majority of the video underneath the microscope here, also as well as this camera right here to be able to see. So once you get your soldering station up to temp, like here, what I usually do is I will, well, first of all, I have to wet my foam pad here. The foam pad is just to wet your soldering tip whenever you're cleaning off the soldering tip. Nice clean tip here. You'll be able to see a little bit, you know, crud on the outside of the tip, but that's okay. What I like to do is just throw some solder on there. Okay. I use tweezers when I'm taking apart things, so I'd strongly recommend you do it as well. So I'm just going to hold this red wire here and slightly tap it with my soldering iron. And there it comes off. Same thing here. Okay. Negatives off. And then same thing with the other side here. Boom. So once you have those wires disconnected, this PCB should just pop out like so. Again, my microscope doesn't go any, well, it does go further out. I should try that actually. I go a bit further out here. You kind of get more of a full picture of. Okay, so this is the PCB for your controller. Screw left in here for the battery case. Okay, so this analog comes off, pull it off. Same thing with the other side. Now these are going to be your joystick potentiometers. These are the factory ones. Like I said, there's actually nothing wrong with these ones. There was an issue with my old ones on my other controller, and that's why I decided to upgrade. I'll briefly go over the different kinds of joysticks. So these are the analog joysticks, the like a potentiometer joystick. So basically what there is a little piece of copper inside here with a carbon filament on the outside. And when you turn this, it'll turn the piece of copper on the carbon film, which will change the resistance. And that's kind of how it tells you which way you're going, left, right, up and down on the axis there. They're good, but they also tend to have an issue with the carbon layer getting worn out. And that's when you'll start having different resistances being captured. And that's where you'll start having stick drift. A couple years ago, they came out with Hall effect joysticks, which uses magnets, electromagnetic technology to try and fix that issue. So essentially Hall effects joysticks do eliminate the issue of stick drift, but they're not as accurate and they feel a bit, you know, uncomfortable when you're using them. They're not as good as the analog ones. And then they came out with TMR joysticks, and I will show you what the TMR joysticks that I got. They are the Acme's TMR DS4 joysticks. Get them on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. This is what they look like. These guys here. And they are direct replacement for these DS4 analog sticks. I'll show you how you calibrate the joysticks after you install them. And it's a permanent calibration. You never have to do it again. Okay, let's jump into taking these analog sticks off. Okay, now to the desoldering of these joysticks. I've read a lot of reviews and videos, or watched a lot of videos online where people struggle with removing these joysticks because there are many vias with holes coming, contacts coming through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Times 2 is 28 for each side. And to get them all warmed up and the solder melted at the same point to be able to remove it can be difficult. And I've been soldering for many years now, so I have my own tips and tricks, and I'll kind of relay them to you so that you'll be able to do this as easily as me. The first thing you're going to need is low melt solder, which if you go onto any technicians' videos or websites, they will strongly recommend low melt solder. It's like magic. Basically what it is exactly what it sounds like. It's low melt. So when you combine this low melt with the joints that are already on there, it'll melt at a much lower temperature, meaning you have to heat it up a lot less, subject the board to a lot less heat, and just makes taking things off much easier. So let's start with that. The other thing that you're going to absolutely need when doing any kind of solder work is solder mat or flux. I'm using just some flux that I got off of Amazon. I can put that in the description as well. It's probably a clone of other good fluxes, but whatever does the trick for me. So what you want to do is you want to put flux on each one of the joints. You're going to grab your soldering iron and you're going to add some low melt solder to each one of the joints. Then you're going to want to turn your hot air station on. And you are going to want to, I turned mine to about 450 at 5.5 on the airspeed. And it seems to do the trick. You're going to want to hit it with the hot air. What I try and do is I try and find somewhere I can grab this joystick with my tweezers. You don't want to put your fingers there because it's going to be hot. You're just going to start heating up the board. It's going to smoke. It's the flux burning off. You're going to try and heat all the joints up so that they're nice and even, nice and melted. It's ready to go. And there it is. Now what I do is I throw some rubbing alcohol on there to cool off the board. You don't want to get it too hot. The heat will, spread. So again, you can see that I didn't get it too hot because this connector is still intact, not very hot at all. And I also will throw some rubbing alcohol on the potentiometer just to cool it off a little bit. It's not too hot, but yeah. There it is, desoldered and out. Let's do the next one. And if you don't use low melt solder for this, you will find that you're going to have to heat that up with the hot air a lot longer. It's going to take a lot more time. Sometimes with low melt, if you got just a couple pins, like if I only had 4 or 5 pins I was using here, I could actually just heat them all up with the soldering iron at one point and they would stay melted and I'd be able to pull it off. Okay, we're going to hit it again with the hot air. There goes. Again, throw some rubbing alcohol on there just to cool it off a little bit. You don't want to have the board getting too warm, even though it's not that bad. Okay. Okay, now we're going to get to cleaning up the old flux and the solder. So I'm going to One thing I forgot to mention is that I use this PCB holder here. This makes life a lot easier. It's not an absolute necessity, but I use it just because, like I said, it makes life easier. I'm just going to clean up some of the solder. There's quite a bit on, or some of the flux. There's quite a bit. All right. Now, there's still quite a bit of flux on there, and I'm going to do this while there is flux. I'm just going to center this on there. Okay. I'm going to change the lens here so you can actually get an idea of the board looks like without an anti-glare. There we go. Okay. So one of the tricks that I use whenever I'm trying to desolder and get solder out is I will cut strips of the solder braid. I'll put the solder braid in the link or in the description of the video as well. I'm going to try this without putting more flux on the board. See how it goes. And I'll put the PCB holder as well in the description. You're going to take some solder braid, solder wick here. You're going to take your hot iron. And you're just going to go over the holes with the iron and the solder wick. Here we go. And if you're watching this going, how does he get it to wick like that? I can never get it to wick like that. Two things. Small strips of braid. Three things. Small strips of braid, good quality braid, and the low melt solder actually helps wick quite easily, actually. And then obviously having flux on there. Like I said, I kind of wiped some of the flux off with that isopropyl, but it's still getting it off. And again, it's a little bit harder because I'm doing it with a camera in my face and not a ton of room. Normally I wouldn't even use the microscope for this kind of repair, but for the sake of the video. I do have a automatic desoldering gun. It does work. I just tried it out yesterday with the other one just to see if it would work. But it's not my preferred method. This is kind of my preferred method to do it. Oops. So yeah, that looks about good. Let's just do a dry fit of the joystick just to make sure it will fit. There we go. Okay. There, as you can see, the pins are through. Right. There we go. That's perfect. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, clean out the holes, and I will fast forward. You can watch. Okay, let's clean this off now. What I use is rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and I will just squirt it on there with a syringe. Use a Q-tip. Any Q-tips work. I just get them from Walmart or whatever, and just kind of soak up that flux. And for the microscope, I can put a link to the description. It's just a cheap, $100 microscope from Amazon. Does the trick. To get rid of the glare, I have a ring light with anti-glare filter, And I'll show you what that looks like. Just turn it right down and boom. Glare gone. Now to the main event of putting the joysticks in. First thing actually is I'm going to just check to make sure that these via holes are all good. Okay, all the holes are good except for one, which is right here. I might be able to get the pin through, but I'm just gonna hit it up with some leaded solder. Put that in the description as well. Some leaded solder on there. Turn my iron off. Let's turn that back on. This is an important part. Really what wasn't covered was removing the flux just using isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, but getting any residual flux or solder out of the via holes is an important thing to know how to do. What I do is just heat up your soldering iron again. You're going to throw some more leaded solder into that hole there. Should go in relatively easy. There we go. Throw some solder on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with the wick again. It should suck it right up. Should. Watch that I'm on video, it won't. Yeah. I'm going to have to throw some more flux. Flux is your friend, folks. Actually, I might do it from the backside. Be a little easier on the backside. Put some flux on there with a little bit of leaded solder. There we go. Now we got a big old glob on there. Throw that over there so you can see what I'm talking about. And it does not want to come out. Do it again. There we go. Now we got it out. Easy as that, folks. Okay, I have to clean that spot off again because there's flux on there. Yeah. Feels good. Okay, let's get our ports installed now. Start off with this side first. Grab your joystick. This one, line it up with the holes. And it should just fall in as long as none of the pins are bent. There we go. Make sure the joystick is flush with the board. And what I do, just to tack it on, get yourself some leaded solder. Get a glob of it on the end of your soldering iron. Like so. And just tack one on there. There we go. Tack one more. Good measure. Boom. Okay, we're good. Now I'll grab my solder. Clean that one up. Some alcohol again. You don't want any bits of solder floating around on your board. Can cause a short between components. We got going on there. Looks like we got a bit of solder on the board here. Okay. This is stuck solder. That one is done. Come on over to the other side. I'm just going to mark these old analog sticks as good sticks because I know they work. Not that I'm really probably going to ever use them again, but mark a G on it. Good. And good. Grab your other joystick, put it through, make sure it's flush on the board, which it is. Again, grab some leaded solder, tack down one of the ports or the holes. Boom. Maybe do two. Done. Grab your solder. Okay, all of our pins look good. You can go through the pins with a Q-tip just to make sure, but I can see visually they're all good. They're all connected properly. Now back to the assembly, reassembly. Gonna put the, don't forget to put the joysticks back on before you put it in. Good. We'll go just sit in. There we go. Put that back in. There we go. Now, if I remember correctly, positive goes to the top on the left side. We'll grab our tweezers. Our like that. And then you're going to grab your battery holder, put that back in. I'm entirely sure what the screw is for, but anyways. Holds the PCB down to the board, I guess, to the back. Okay, that's all good. Battery in. Boom. Plug that ribbon cable back in. Just pops in there. Good. Click it back together. Should just go in like that. And the screws will hold it in place. Okay, now we are done with the reassembly Joysticks feel good. Okay guys, now that we have the controller together, we need to plug it into a computer with the micro USB cable. It should boot up just fine. So now you can see right now that everything works fine. All the buttons work, joysticks work. But you're gonna see the joysticks are not doing too good. You got to the right and up on this guy, 0.1, and to the bottom of the left. So if you test circularity at this point, about 20% and a 15% on the right side. Not great. So you're going to come over to DS4 calibration. Cool. You're going to go to the DualShock calibration GUI. Understood. You're going to connect to your controller up here. Connect. Calibrate stick center. So when you do this, you can't stop it. So you're going to hit start. It's going to tell you to move them to the top left corner together. Done. Continue. Top right corner. Done. Continue. Bottom left corner. Done. Continue. Bottom right. Okay. Now we're centered. Beautiful. Go back over to the gamepad tester. We are definitely centered. We got a 0.392 across the board, which is better than the factory joysticks that come with it. Test circularity though, you're going to have a ton of errors still. Now you're going to want to come over to here and go calibrate stick range. So you're going to rotate the sticks all around slowly. Do it twice. And I go back the other way. And then go done. Save changes permanently. And then if you come over to the gamepad tester, now we check circularity at a 1.5%. This is far better than you would ever get with stock analog sticks. And I can tell you right now, having played first-person shooter games my entire life, these are the best joysticks I've ever used on any controller. They're just so precise. Every movement you make is inputted. Your dead zones on any of your games will be down to the minimum. Yeah, you'll just be amazed. So, okay guys, thanks for joining me on this video on how to fix joysticks on your DualShock 4 controller. Again, I'll put links to all the tools and the products that I used in this video, as well as the TMR joysticks that I bought from Amazon. If you could like and subscribe to this video, I would appreciate it. Have a good day.